All right. Good evening.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on, man?
what's happening?
All right. So we got three people who not gonna make it on.
Natalie might not make it. She's in Texas, so she's probably at the airport or getting ready to go. So,
Okay, look like she on, but it's all good. Hey, so the point of today was to go over our demo property that we were looking at as far as what we could do with it, whether it was a good investment, could we buy it, should we buy it, and what we could build on it, and how much would it be worth, right? So we looked at this last week and we looked at a few things as far as the comps, what it'd be worth, um, and go from there. So I guess this would probably be me and you, Ian, talking about a little bit, but what did you come up with?
um, I went through and I just pretty much followed what you kind of said to do from the previous meetings that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I did was I went ahead and looked at the lot. I looked at the zoning, first of all, and the zoning I got from the county was A2 zoning, which is farmland rural, which means right now with this zoning, without rezoning, you can build a single family home, modular home, and mobile homes. So that's what I've got so far. Um, Based on our discussion last week, we said there was electricity to the lot, there's power to the lot. There probably wasn't any water because of the wells that we saw,
Mm-hmm.
um, and probably septic also uh, on those lots. So what I did was I just went to the county and started looking for the setback requirements. If we were to build, what would the setback requirements be for septic and a well? So that was part of my research, finding out those numbers.
What was the front setback?
Huh?
What was the front setback? Did you figure out what it was?
I think it was a 50 or 75 feet. I didn't even write that down. I should have.
Okay.
But it,
So I
it
got
does
it.
affect it does affect we can build on it, but it does affect us splitting it up if we have to. If the setbacks are kept where they're at, I don't think you can split it up and put two single homes on there with those required setbacks. Let's see here. But what I came to the conclusion was the first one was you should not offer whatever the guy's asking for it. What was he asking for it? 150?
Yeah.
Hell no. Don't even, not even close what that guy's asking, because I ran it at 150 with the comps. It's gonna be hard to make a profit with 150 if you buy the land for 150. Unless the prices of houses in the area go up and the selling prices.
So
Um,
what did you so talk to me a little bit about the numbers you use. Like what did you come up with to come to that conclusion is what I want to get into. And then I'm gonna take it from there.
I use the comps in the area first, even near the street and the surrounding areas, and then I also went and look at the land, how much land was selling for, similar to what we're purchasing also, and then based on that,
But
I
numbers, rough numbers, what did you come up with?
for what now? The
So
break
what
even.
did so let me be more precise. What did you come up for with your comps?
Uh, I used my comps are 360, 415, 424, 460, and 487. Those are the comps.
So averaging 450. Is that safe
Yeah,
to say?
yeah,
Okay.
that's about right.
And so how many square feet does that entail for that 450?
Uh, I wrote it down here. God, where is it? Most of them were, for the comps I saw, were like 2,200 square feet.
Okay.
Now, if you
So,
go any further than that, of course, it got a little more for those better neighborhoods in Avalon, but I didn't want to go way into Avalon too far. I wanted to go closer to where we were at.
and that's
That
and
was,
that's right. So what I'm getting at is you're saying for a 2,000 square foot house, 2,200 square foot house, the comps are 450.
yes.
Okay. And so we're going to use that data for your exercise.
Okay.
And you concluded that we shouldn't pay 150. And I want to get down to, is that a true statement? Yes or no? And
Yeah.
so my next question to you is, at 150 for the purchase price, a bill cost, right, of 2,200 bucks. I'm sorry, 2,200 square feet. All right. And if we take 2,200 and we said we're gonna analyze it at 150, all right, that gets us to roughly 330,000. We're on the same page?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we take that 330 bill cost and add that to the 150, we get 480. And you're saying
Mhm.
based on that, we exceed our comps, so we might not be able to sell it.
That's if you decide to go with the 150 for the land, correct?
Yes, that's yeah, based on the 150, his asking
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
All right. And so based on those quick numbers, I agree with you. Okay. Now I just want to let you like dig a little deeper, right? So of your comps, was any of those new construction?
Uh, I just, I didn't, you know what? I didn't even think about that. I didn't look at Zillow to see if any of them were new. Most of them were existing that I looked up.
Okay.
And the majority of those were in better areas.
Okay.
Those larger comps were in I mean, literally next door. So I didn't want to take too many of those for my numbers. I took like one or two of them that was close
Okay. And
to my,
how many of those comps that you used that we took the average of, how many of them was mobile homes?
three of them. Three of them were mobile homes.
All right. So
Yeah.
three of the four, right?
Yeah. About three of the four were mobile
Okay.
homes. Correct.
So you probably see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we do that, we'll never truly answer our question about what the house is truly worth, even if we're taking a little bit of data that we have at the moment, right? We still wouldn't be accurate. And so you have to hone in with better comps for what you're going to build. Now, if you was going to put in a mobile home on this property, which you could do because it's A2, right? Then those comps will be true, but our build cost will readjust, right? And so if we look at a mobile home and we say, well, how much would it cost us to put a mobile home on here that's 2,200 square feet? It's almost cut in half, right?
Yeah.
So it's about 60% of that cost. So you take that 150 and you could back that down to almost $80 a square foot.
Correct.
Okay, if we were going to just let's just say a brand new mobile home. So if we do those numbers and we take the one, first of all, let's go back and just do we're looking for a 2,000 square feet mobile home, right? At let's just say $80 a square foot, that put us at 160. Okay. And if we take the 160 and add it to the 150, which is our land cost, we're at 310. Okay. And your comps is at 420. I think what we said, 420, 450.
Yeah.
Okay. So even even if we take into account we have to replace the septic or put in a new well, you're talking about another $20,000. We still have $100,000 delta just based off those comps.
Correct.
Okay. But the point I want to make is garbage in is garbage out. If we don't do a good job comping and comping out the property, our future property, we'll never be on the right queue. All right. So I want to go back and I want to say we got to take more comps, right?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Who else is on? Anybody else did the assignment? All right.
No, I'm
So,
not the one.
I
yeah.
missed last week, so I didn't get it.
All right, cool. So,
But to that point, Jeremiah is saying about understanding the product type, the end type matters drastically in how you evaluate the numbers that you're running and what your comps should look like.
all right. Yeah. So what I got here is first thing first, I'm gonna talk about comps and then I'm gonna go to what's on the screen right now. So in looking at the comps, what I did was I took one mobile home property. Okay. I added that into my comps. The reason why I added that is I want to know if I decide as plan B, going in reverse, hey, this is a good deal, but I got to go back to a mobile home. All right. Does that work? I want to know that information for plan B. But plan A, I took one mobile home comp and I took three other new construction solid homes. And I looked at a couple different things and I went outside. I went 1 mile out, okay, because that's what an appraiser is going to do for the most part. He's going to look for a property that's A2 in a mixed residential setting like we have here, and how much did it sell for? And he's going to go back at the most 6 months. And so that's what I did. So the comp that I came up with is $560,000. Okay. And that's based off, and I do have a price per square foot. That's about $228 to $240 a square foot. Okay. And the reason why that's important, okay, is if you get the price per square foot, then it doesn't matter what size you comp it to, because you can always say, hey, I can build a 2,000 square foot house or a 4,000 square foot house. I now know the price per square foot. Okay, hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So all I did was broke down a comp for a 2,500 square foot house, and I now have the price per square foot. But so on this property, we're gonna go with the comp of $560,000. Okay. If I take $560,000, okay, and I say 150 for the land, I'm gonna build a 2,800 square foot house. Okay. I'm gonna do my same math based off 2,800. I'm gonna multiply that by 150 and I get 420. Okay. So 2,800 square foot house, 420. And I'm going to add in the 150 for the lot. I get 570,000. Okay. Which to me, that's not a good deal. So I got two choices. I have to renegotiate the price for the lot. Okay. Or I need to really home in on why am I building such a big house? One of the two. Price per square foot matters, so size matters. All right. If I do that, you'll find that if I reduce the cost of the lot down to about 80 to 100,000, there's room for me to make money. I don't want to get into how much money is good money because it depends on what do you need at the time, right? What's your end game? If you're planning on renting this house and all you want to do is cash flow $300,000 and have a vehicle to have money in, meaning have equity in, then that might be a good deal. If your strategic plan is every deal that I touch, I have to make 30% of the entire deal, then that is your plan. If your strategic plan is I need to make 30% on the money that I spend, then that can be a strategic plan. If those numbers work, then it's a good deal. Okay. So that takes care of the money part of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The second part of it is I want to get into the details of what else we could do with this property. So if you could see my screen, you'll see that I went in and I went to Orange County zoning map. Okay. I want to go back to the process of getting those questions answered, which was the homework for you guys. And this would be always be my first step if I can get to a computer or from my phone. And that's to go into the zoning and find out what is the current zoning and what is the proposed future use could be, and also what's allowed there. And I can get that all from this one page. So I know currently it's A2, okay? A2 is basically a land use that allows you to do farming. It also allows you to have a residential use there too, okay? I'm not gonna get into the proposed orange code, but I'm gonna go into the density. So the building density, we can see that for A2, you only can put one dwelling unit per acre, okay? So if you look down where it says residential density, it'll say 1 DU/acre, all right? And the point of that, of why is that important is, as long as we stay A2, as long as it's zoned A2, we can never put two properties or two dwelling units on here. So we can't do a duplex, okay? We can't do a quadruplex. We can't do nothing of that nature if it's zoned A2, okay? But the other thing that's important is, even if we split this lot into two, okay, it's telling us one dwelling unit per acre, okay? So if we split it, which in some cases the county may still allow you to do, but in A2, you wouldn't be able to put 0 houses on it if you do that split. And the reason for that is your acreage size is below the minimum, okay? Because it's telling you you have to have 1 acre to have one dwelling unit, okay? So the only option, if you decided to split it, you would have to rezone this property to something else other than A2. And that could be a long road in front of you. So to answer the question, can we split it? The answer is no. Because if we're not going in with a long lead plan, it's not worth it. Okay, we'll burn 6 months in rezoning from A2 to maybe R1. All right, so that's not an option. We're taking that off the board now. Does that make sense? All right.
Yeah.
So going into the next step is I'm looking at my setbacks. And why is setbacks important? Setbacks is telling me how big of a house or how big of a building space I have. And so the front setback is 35 feet. The side street setback is 10 feet. The side setback is 10 feet. The rear is 50 feet. Okay. So I want to go into what's the difference between a side street setback and a side setback. Okay. Because those two things mean a lot depending on where you are. Okay. So because this is a corner lot, the side street setback comes into play, okay? And what that means is if you're on a corner and there's a street adjacent to your property, okay, you need to be 10 feet away from it. Now, with this A2 zoning, you notice that the street setback and the side setback is the same. It's not like that all the time. sometimes your side street setback can be 30 feet, 20 feet, okay? Which reduces how much buildable space you have on a corner lot. And you'll see sometimes in some neighborhoods, you'll see where they take a corner house and they diagonally place it on the property. So it's actually, you know, I guess I'll say 45 degrees turn facing the corner instead of facing, one street or the other. That can be the reason if they have a big side street setback. Another thing, another municipality, it may say corner street setback. Okay, so those things are important. I want to make sure we hone in on that. In this situation, it didn't affect us because the side street and the side setback is the same. Okay, a regular side setback would be just a lot that has two houses or two properties on both sides of it. Then we'll be looking at that side setback. But whenever you're on the corner lot, pay attention to the side street setback. All right. So the other thing we can get out of this map is the property details, who it belongs to. All right. That's important to know because if you go and you sign, well, two reasons why it's important. I'm gonna say that. One reason is whoever you sign a contract with, if you go to purchase this and go a little bit further, you want to make sure that that's the same guy you signing the contract with. Okay. The other thing I like about it is it allows me to know who owns it and where they stay. Okay. So this lot in particular, you can see that 1223 Buist is on the same street of the subject address. So a neighbor actually owns this property. If you were doing a code search and you were just looking up this property, you'll find out that if you wanted to buy it or it was sitting vacant or whatever, it helps you find out who the owner is and how you can contact them. Okay, so a lot of little information in this one page. In the uses category, it show you what we could do with the property if we keep the current zoning. So it allows for accessory dwelling units, foster homes, obviously home occupations, meaning any business you work or run out of your home, mobile home. You can do screen enclosure, stream rooms. The main thing I like to see out of this is the accessory dwelling units. Why is that important? With mother-in-law suites and ADU being such a high or new fad, I'll say, right? That gives me additional square footage and uniqueness of the property that I can use in my advantage to get more money, right? And so what does that mean? If I can build an ADU, which is a mother-in-law suite that's detached from the regular house, I may be able to increase this by $50,000 to $60,000 and raise my price per square foot, okay? Because that's uniqueness of the property. Right, it'll have a detached. So somebody who's looking for a house that maybe they have their mother-in-law, maybe they just want to do an extra income and do a rental. This property works for that, and that may make it more advantageous for us to get, knowing that we can do that and have a rental income on the property. Okay, so I'll say that that's the main thing that I like to see and that I get from the uses. Not every property, codes are changing, but not every property allows you to do an accessory dwelling unit or a mother-in-law suite. All right. Any questions? We good? The other thing this allows me to do is we get to go in with the different layers and we can find out what are the uplands, what are our low areas, and a quick look at if we have any wetlands near the area, okay? All those layers are here for us to take a look at. So I'm gonna cut on a few of them and just kind of show you what comes up. So if you could take a look, you'll see that if we bought this lot, if we planned on selling it, if we planned on using it for anything other, we got a couple things we need to watch out for. All right. The first thing is the area which our entire property somewhat drains poorly. Okay. So we already know that that's something we need to look at. We need to make sure whatever we build, we raise up our structure a little bit to take care of that. You'll notice that you're in a FEMA flood zone. Okay. So why is this important? It's important because you need to know that you now have an additional cost to get flood insurance. Okay. This area most likely floods. So that's an additional cost. If we want to purchase this to sell, now our buyers are going to be worried about that. Okay. So we need to make sure we're paying attention to it. The other thing we need to know is we're in a protected area. This area is the Econ-Lahatchie protection area. So what does that mean? It just means that there's certain things that we might have to watch out for in our building process. And that can play a part. All right. So I want you guys to look at that. So all this information we get from this one page on the report, but it helps us kind of fine tune and negotiate that $150,000. And we get to use these things to our advantage to make that happen. All right. So going back to our thing, our assignment was to try to find out what we could actually, or what we should try to purchase the property for, and is it a good deal? I'm going to say that the property is a good deal if we're willing to do these things, right? If we're willing to build in a flood zone, understanding we're going to have flood insurance requirements and things of that nature. All right. The question, is it a good deal for us? I would say no. It's not nothing that I would like. It takes away one of my strategies. If I'm looking to build this house to sell, it makes it not that advantageous to my end buyers because of the uniqueness, the location of it. And it takes away my plan B, which is to put a mobile home on it. I wouldn't really want to do that because I don't like owning mobile homes or manufactured homes. And it takes away option C. If I had to keep this and rent it, it'll be a liability for me. And the reason why it'll be a liability, I have more maintenance to worry about. I have a septic tank, I have a well. These are all things I need to maintain. And I have a high risk and option of it flooding. Okay. So for me, this is not a good deal. Okay. But if it met somebody else's things, the things I will look for is, can we make money off of it? And that answer is yes. To me, at the minimum, 10% profit is still a profit if we're building it ourselves, right? And so that makes it a good deal. The other thing that I'll say is, while we're in this area, we always want to look around to see what else is in the area that we could possibly buy and or run the same numbers and comps to see if it works. Okay. So in my exercise, I found that there's another property not too far away that's for sale by owners. And that property is 1026. Okay, it's not too far down the road, but the uniqueness of this property is it's a full 1 acres. Okay, so 1 acre lot down the street, that's been on the market, taken off the market, put on the market. In that, I want to look at it and I want to ask, why was it put on and off the market so many times? Okay. And so for that, I'm going to do a little bit of research to find out why. This is the subject property. This is our 1 acre lot. The zoning of it is A2, same thing as the other one. So everything comes into play. We know we can build 1 dwelling unit on it. It's a little bit bigger. Now, I want to stop here and go back to our comps, because now if we're going to use those same comps, we got to analyze them because we got one big thing that just changed, so that we can have apples to apples and not apples to oranges. And that big thing is now we have 1 acre, not a half acre. Okay. And we got to look at our comps and say, does any of our comps show a 1 acre piece of property? And I can tell you, based on the comps that I have, the answer is no. None of the comps that I looked at support a 1 acre property. So now the comps that you have, none of them work anymore. Okay, because it's not apples to apples. Okay, and you have to take that in consideration. So now we need to go back and we need to recomp everything we have to find properties that's 1 acre or close to 1 acre. So if you find a 0.9 acre lot, so a 1/10 of an acre short, or you can go to up to 1.5 acre lots and see what the comps is. If we do that, we'll learn that we have to go out further than one mile to find comps that's 1 acre or greater. And it puts us in another neighborhood, similar neighborhood, but another neighborhood close to us. And it's about 2 to 2.3 miles away. The benefit of that, though, is our comps go up, and our comps go all the way up to $750,000. Okay, for a single family residential on one acre. The problem with that is, if we look over here, our cost is going to go up too, because this is a lot that we have to clear. It's totally virgin ground that's full of full-grown trees. Okay. If we estimate our costs and we know our build costs, so let's just say we're going to use the same house plan that we had. It's going to be a 2,800 square foot house. We know a 2,800 square foot house will run us about $420,000. But our comps is 700. Now we got to look at what can we pay for this lot to make money. The other thing we got to take into consideration that was different from this new lot to the old lot that we just looked at is, since this is virgin land, there's no impact fees have been paid. Okay. Our other lot, what I'm gonna call it Exhibit A had a property on it before. So we were looking at very minimal to 0 impact fees. Okay. So with the impact fees for Orange County, we got to add $15,000 into our build cost of that $150 to make sense. All right. That's something that you can't forget. If you're looking at 10% to 20% margins on a property and you forget to consider the impact fees, you may have just given up the profit that you had for this property. All right. So looking at this property, we're going to spend $420,000 to build it. We're going to add $15,000 for the impact fees, And let's just say, okay, we are gonna pay $150 for this, $150,000 for this property. We're looking at it 700, I'm sorry, we're looking at 585,000 all in on this property. Okay? With our comps saying that we can get about 750,000, we're looking good at roughly $150,000 in profit. Does that make sense? So this is
Yes.
another property that we can look at, we can purchase. It still fits our area. Our margins are better, but we have to be able to buy it for $150,000. Okay, so option A work. We can build a house on this lot and we can sell it. What about option B? Is there an option to split this property? Anybody?
No.
No,
Why?
I think you mentioned earlier you can only build one dwelling on an acre.
Yep,
Because of the A1?
yep, because it's A2.
Oh, A2, okay.
Because it's A2, we only can get one dwelling unit on here. Okay, so that option's out the door. What about a mother-in-law suite? Can we take advantage of this full 1 acre and maybe put a rental property on here or a mother-in-law suite for our end buyer?
Yes.
So that's an option. So let's just say we built a 2,800 square foot house and we had another 800 square feet for a 1 bedroom or a suite. Would that make it, do you think we can get more money for the house based on that? Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, we should. So this property probably looks better, but take into account the same things, right? We still got a little bit more homework to do. This house still is in the econ protection area. This house is not in the floodplain, but it still poorly drains. All right, so that's still something to worry about. That's still something that we may still have to get it looked at to see if it's in the FEMA flood zone. And because it drains poorly, and we may still have to get flood insurance. Since there's no septic water, we still have to have a septic tank and a well. Those are still things that I don't like as a rental because it's too many things that I have to maintain. Okay, water, septic, it's too many. So my plan B doesn't work. So for me personally, I don't like it. All right. Look at the last layer that I just turned on. Freshwater, forested, shrub wetlands. So it's indicating that half of this property is considered a wetlands. So when it says shrub wetlands, basically what it's telling us is we need to get a wetland study done. Okay? Because it shows this area as a shrub wetland, we want to make sure there's no active wetlands in it before we buy this property. If for some reason this comes back and this is accurate and it looks like 60% of our property is in the wetlands, or active wetlands, look at the front 30%. That's all we have to build on. Okay? Unless we paying $100,000 to $150,000 to mitigate these wetlands. Okay? Meaning to clean it up, dedicate land somewhere else that can be wetlands. We don't want to do that. So these layers are important. It gives you this answer before you start investing your time into trying to buy a piece of the property. Okay? And so for that reason, I'm not interested in this property. Still a good deal, but it's not a deal for me. Somebody who wants to make this their primary home can invest that time. As an investor, I don't really want to. Okay? So I move on to something else. Do we understand the concept of the homework of trying to figure out, is a lot buildable and profitable?
Yes.
All right. Any questions about the assignment, what I said, what I talked about?
Not
Uh,
at the moment for me.
for this property again, if I think you mentioned if the price of the land was down, down to a lower point, it might be worth it to build a home on it. But because it's at the 150 price mark, even with the numbers you ran, and like you said, once you look into the wetlands does present an issue. If you're an investor, I could see that. But if you're a homeowner, it might be a good deal, like you said, correct?
Yeah, it might be a good deal. So if you're talking about property A, right, the 1206, if you were the end user, this is still a great deal, right? The area is going to do nothing but grow. Okay. Although I don't like wells because I have to maintain them, right? An end user might like wells and septic because now I don't have a water bill and I don't have a sewer bill at all. The only thing I have to do is make sure that I'm maintaining my systems properly, right? So for the septic, I'm making sure I'm not flushing anything harsh down the toilet, and I'm making sure, my well pump's not strained, meaning I'm just got the water hose running and my pump's out there running for 14 hours on end. I'm maintaining that. But my overall live cost has just went down, right? Because besides the one time that I have to build it, typically septic tanks last 3 to 5 years before you actually have to maintain them or do anything to them, long as they're being maintained properly. For a rental, you get a renter in there, you don't know what they're doing. They're flushing paper napkins down, and it's a problem. So I say 1206 for an end user is still a great deal. Okay. Yes, you have additional cost up front to put those systems in, but in the long run, over 3 to 5 years, you pay no water bill and you pay no sewer bill.
Gotcha.
Yep. Quiana, you had a question?
No, I didn't have a question. I was just
Okay.
letting you know that I
Yeah.
basically didn't have a question. However, I did get a chance to take a lot of notes on the questions for the property on Buist. And I pretty much understood some of the things we just talked about, like as far as the water things, just because we went through those things when we were applying for permits for those properties in St. Pete. So it
Yeah.
pretty much sounded familiar.
All right, cool. Yeah. So that was the point. I wanted to go over this and look at it. And I wanted you guys to know as you're looking for property, it's not just, oh, it's a vacant lot, it's good enough to buy. Even if the price seemed cheap, right? You still got other factors that you want to kind of chase down and make sure you're on top of. All right. So that's part of the investment side of things. As far as the construction, keeping up with our current projects, any questions on what's going on in the field?
What is next for the house? Are they going to actually put the roof on now? I think one of the properties, they were still waiting for the mechanical. And on the other property, they were finished most of the mechanical stuff, the AC and the plumbing.
Yeah, so currently the roof is gonna go in on Wednesday morning. They're gonna do both roofs as far as shingles. Everything that involves the cutting of the roof should be done tomorrow, which is the 19th. The mechanical contractor should be there for 702 Lucky. I still need 2 holes to be cut in by them, which should happen tomorrow for the fart fans or the exhaust fans for the bathroom. And they should start on the ductwork there. The electrician is finished up currently. So Tuesday we'll be able to look at the final layout and everything for electrical. And plumbing's done already. I think you guys seen that. So we should be ready to go. And I've locked in installation contractor for Thursday to put in the installation. And with all things working together, hopefully by next week, Monday, Tuesday, we should be installing drywall. On the second house, we should have the electricians going over there starting tomorrow, Monday, putting in electrical. The plumbing is done already and the mechanical is done already. And again, the roof will be done on Wednesday. So I wanted to look at the schedule with you guys and kind of talk about that just so we could kind of see where we are in progression. All right. So in going over the detail, showing the progression, we got if we're on January, just to recap, going back to 5th and 6th, we had the framing done, we got the windows installed. So typically what I do, the way I should be operating, a little bit behind, is I'll go in and I'll complete these items. As they're completed. Are you guys able to see the pop-ups?
Yes.
All right. So the plumbing's done. I typically will track everything. The plumbing's done. I know it's done. I gave them 2 days to do it. They got it done early. I'll just complete it off. All right. The roof dry-in for the shingles, we ended up pushing that a week. Well, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. The roof dry-in was done per the schedule, but the shingles were not done. And so the way I'll do that is I'll put 50% complete on this item. And I can do 2 things. I can schedule it out or reschedule it. And what that does when I reschedule it is let the roofer know here that his new date that he needs to show up is X, whatever X is, okay? So in this case, if I want to push his to the 21st, I'm going to reschedule this item to the 21st. It's going to notify him that we agreed on the 21st and I expect you to be here, all right? So I just hit save and I'm gonna close that out. and it takes that item and it moves it down to the 21st. Okay, so we'll be able to complete that off. Notice anything that's complete has a little check box in front of it, so we know it's completed. For the mechanical, we're going to take this and change the date to the 19th, which that's the day they're going to be there. And the rough electric got completed on Friday, so I'm just going to save and close that out, put it as complete. And so for the 19th, we got the mechanical rough to be done. We got insulation that's going to be done. I'm going to drag this and move this to the end of the week, the 22nd. And then our stucco should move up. And we should be ready for stucco on Wednesday. All right. All right. And then the drywall installation should carry on for the whole week, the following week, which is the week of the 26th. So I'm gonna leave that there. Once the stucco is done, I'll pull in the exterior paint, but at least this gives me my 2-week look ahead on what's coming and what, you know, what needs to be done. And then if I look out at February, I'll have a good idea of what I got going. So basically what I want to do is I want to reach out to the soffit and fascia guy, and I want to tell him, hey, I'll be looking forward to you the first week of February. So the 2nd through the 4th, I should be ready for you. I want to reach out to and set up concrete so I can do my sidewalks and driveways. Okay. And then I want to start getting everything together for my flooring, my bathroom walls, my cabinetry, my trim. Okay. This is the point of what we use this schedule for and staying on top of things. I don't want to be ready February for cabinets, okay, and not have ordered the cabinets. If the cabinets are 2 weeks out and we want to start February 2nd, you'll see that tomorrow we need to be ordering the cabinets. Okay. So that we'll have the week of the 19th through the 23rd. Sorry. The 26th through the 30th. And the week of the 2nd, we should be ready and have our cabinets ready to move to the job site to be installed. Okay. So the things we're going to be doing this week out in the field is we're going to be measuring all our interior doors. We're going to be talking about the rough openings, whether it's a 32-inch, you know, a 2/8. Is it a right-hand swing, a left-hand swing? We're going to lay out the kitchen cabinets so we can get that drawing together and our order together. And then we're going to be talking about the overall cost up to this point. Is everybody good with Tuesday, or do we want to push this to Wednesday, make Wednesday our field day since our week's a little short?
I'm fine with Wednesday. Would it be the same time? 10,
Yeah.
11 or
Yeah.
10? Okay.
All right. So I'll send out an email. Let's do it Wednesday at 10. That'll give us time to be able to see the finished mechanical rough and go over the layout. We'll be able to measure our doors with not so many people in our way and go over that. And then I want to take a minute, at least 30 to 40 minutes, and talk about our cost up to this point. So all of the trades up to this point, and then our 2-week look ahead for the cost. Any questions?
Sounds good.
All right, short class today. Let me know if you guys got questions while we're out in the field so we can go over it.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
All right, cool. See you guys later.
See ya.
All right.